Hi, good morning everyone. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about how to set up a MongoDB in a development environment. So here what we are going to do is we are going to uh, run MongoDB in a Docker container. So we are going to run MongoDB in a Docker container. Then we are going to use Mongo client and Mongo Compass and UI to access. So we are going to use, after that, create a database called employee DB, create a collection called employee. Its collection is more or less equivalent to a table. Okay. Now we are going to insert data into table, or we call it as a documents. Find a record or a document, then stop the database, delete the database. So to ease this whole process, I created a Docker Compose file, which will run the MongoDB 4.0.4 and into a local volume. A local volume is nothing but you can think it as like a database. Okay, so our file system, a local volume is bounded to /data/db. So if you stop the Docker container or if you start the Docker container once again, you're not going to lose the data. So when the machine gets restarted also, the data will be persisted. You will not be losing data in the MongoDB. That's a advantage you're going to get using this Docker Compose file. So without wasting much time, you guys know MongoDB is a NoSQL popular database. Let us start the MongoDB from the Docker container. So I'm going to use Docker Compose, Docker-compose app-d. So this is going to start the MongoDB and mount a volume. It creates a volume and it's going to bring the database up. So -d, the parameter which you are seeing here, runs the container in a detached mode, like a daemon process, like a background thread. let me connect to the container. Docker Compose exec execute exec MongoDB, and I'm going to run a Mongo client. MongoDB, and I'm going to connect a Mongo client. So here what I'm doing is I'm using a Mongo client to connect to the Mongo database. So this is what we are trying to do. We are using a Mongo client to connect to the database. Now, if you want to see all the databases, you can say show DBs, which shows all the databases. Currently, we have 3 databases in the Mongo database. Now, we are going to create a DB called employee DB. So you can use the command use employee DB. So you need not to create a database before you use it. So once you say use employee DB, it is going to create a database for you. In this database, I'm going to create an employee table or collection. So, and I'm going to put a data record into it. So if you can use db.employee. This is the table. This is the database. So you have to understand that difference. So this is the call, it's as a collection, and here they call it as a document. Here in the relational database, we call it as a record. So simple employee has three fields or three attributes: ID, first name, last name. It's a simple JSON representation. You can represent the entire document. A document or a row in a relational database, okay, you can represent like this, like a simple JSON. It has how many fields? ID, first name, and last name, where ID equal to 1, first name Leonardo, and last name equal to DiCaprio. So I am inserting the first row into the employee table. So the first row is inserted. Let me add one more row. So the second row called Kate with an ID 2, and the last name is Winslet. I inserted two records or two documents with ID 1 and ID 2 into the collection employee or into the table employee inside an employee database. So this is the few vocabulary which you need to understand. Now let me query the collection. So the simple way I can query is like db.employee.find. You can find with any attribute. Okay, so first I'm finding with their first name attribute. So if I press enter, it found the Kate employee, the first name Kate. Let me save it. Let me try to find a document or a record which was not Sam with an employee name first name Sam. So it couldn't find any record, and it resulted 0 records. Now I'm finding with the Kate. Here you can find with the Kate. So now you can use Mongo Compass. Mongo Compass is a client UI tool where you can connect to the Mongo database. Now I started the Mongo Compass, and I'm just saying connect, which is connecting to the Mongo database server, which is on listening on 27,017 port. Now let me say connect. It connect to the database, and here you can see 4 databases it has. Now the database that we created is employee DB, and which has a collection, or we call it as an table. And if you click collection, you can see records. So employee DB, in the employee database, we have 2 records. One with is Leonardo, and the other one is Kate Winslet. So if we connected to the database, which is on the local host, and it's a standalone, and we are connecting to MongoDB 4.0.4. So now you understood the how to start a MongoDB, how to create a database, how to create a table, how to insert records into it. Generally, we don't use the relational RDBMS vocabulary. So now the next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the database. Now to stop the database, let me come out of the Mongo shell. I can say quit, or I think exit it is. So I came out of the Mongo shell. Now let me stop the database. So it is stopping the Mongo database. Now if you see, if I do a refresh, so it's not able to connect to the database. Now let me start the database once again. It is starting the database. Let us do once again a simple refresh. I think it automatically refreshed. If you see here, we have 4 DBs and 2 collections. Now let me delete the whole database, and let me delete the volumes also. The volumes is the place where the physical data resides. So if I do docker down, -v, which is going to remove the entire volumes. Now, if I do a refresh, so it is trying to connect to the database on the local host. Currently, the database server itself is not running. Now, let us bring the empty database, Docker compose up, which is going to bring the empty database. It is going to bring the database server up, and we'll have an empty database. Okay, I think something wrong happened to my database. So with this, I'm done with my tutorial. So we learned how to stop a database, we learned how to delete a database and insert view records. And we learned about Mongo client, which is Mongo. And we learned about a compass to access the UI. This is a compass application. So this is a simple quick start guide to the MongoDB, and you can access the entire Docker compose file from my GitHub repository. Thank you.